So, hello everyone, this is the Simpit, I'm Michi Hoyer, and today we're gonna have an interesting bit of racing and an interesting bit of setup work going on the Formula Renault 2.0 around Silverstone here on iRacing. So, as Sean already said on his news show a few minutes ago, this format is gonna be somewhat different from the other formats. People that have recently followed me could have seen some sneak preview. But first, before we go on, I would like to generally introduce some guy that knows some good things on race cars and has some good knowledge on how to do a real setup. So today we're gonna do a special format where we are trying to build up a Formula Renault 2.0 setup for Silverstone from scratch. We will do that in approximately 60 minutes and then head into a race, one of the open iRacing weekly series races, and see what that setup is going to be worth. And instead of me talking about setups, it will be Robert, a guy with some knowledge, and my engineer for today will answer you the questions on the chat. He will have access to the chat, so he can definitely see what's going on, and he can react to all of your Q&As where I'm more or less focusing on driving, and we both are gonna have a conversation about setup things and what we're currently doing on the car, so we actually just do know about what we're doing. So, hey Robert, thanks for joining me here.
Hello everyone, hey Michi.
So,
as just Michi introduced me, I'm Robert, guy that pretends to know that he knows some stuff.
Yeah, so what we are going to do here can go very wrong in the end. Let's just be honest. Like, I'm struggling a lot to understand those cars in iRacing. Robert has raced some iRacing, but not lately. So all he is going to do is tell his knowledge from a theoretical point of view. Whether this will work in the end in this simulation, whoever knows. So there's going to.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, we just hope for that, so we can have a decent race in the end. Anyway, I think this is the first stream on my end here for the Simpit, so from my side as well to the audience, Happy New Year 2018. May your New Year's resolutions come true, and may your dreams go well and go into reality. Hope it's gonna be a great year for sim racing, great year for Sean, great year for all of you, and hopefully also a great year for me. So, as we are in Silverstone already, how about just taking out the car as it is and see what the car feels like? Robert, you would agree?
Yeah, that's totally the right approach. Let's see how the car rides as it is without any changes, how the weather is affecting the car, and how you feel with the car. So basically we can go from there and see what can be done to improve the car and explain to the people why should it make the car a bit better in this particular place or that. Basically stuff that generally should work on track.
Yeah, and we're gonna be live back on air in just a second, so what you're gonna see is we will be starting in just a moment screen, because I forgot something to turn around in the background of my hardware. That will spoil up some other things, so I generally need to remove them first. So let's see, there you go, that needs to be removed, and then I'm gonna be back on track in just about a second. So answering your first questions here, thank you very much, Tom Jones. Really looking forward to deliver more of that stuff to you, as I hope I can fire up the stream again live. There you go. I just saw something that should not have been on the stream, and I hope it's going to be fixed right now. Probably need to see again in a second. Yep, that's a lot better. Alright, so I'm taking out the car.
Michi, you just started the stream and you're already getting compliments.
That happens sometimes. Need
Let's
to...
hope for more, for
yeah,
your sake.
a bit, yeah.
Mine as well.
So I need to fix the sound of iRacing a bit. So there you go. Now you should be able to understand Robert the same way I do. Can you quickly have a test 1, 2, 3?
1, 2, 3.
Ah, perfect. Yeah. I think you guys now can hear him as well. Thank you, Dragon. Thank you, Michael. I'm got a bit better, so the sickness has creeped out of my body to some extent. It's not entirely gone, but I'm like feeling a lot better. As I choose the wrong track layout, I think. Oh no, it's gonna be the track layout that's going to be raced in that series later, so I think I keep it the way it is.
That's not the correct way, Michi, you know.
Yeah, that's the correct way. I think we're racing the historical layout of Silverstone. One thing I really do not like at all, whoops, about this Formula Renault is seat position. But I don't think in iRacing you can move seats. If someone
I believe you can change the FOV and...
yeah, but that doesn't help me on sitting backwards or upwards.
No, not really bad.
So, as I'm going to do, I think 1 or 2 timed laps, just to see balance and everything.
The car already feels, just from watching your stream, to be a bit understeered, which, judging that this is going on in high-speed corners, might be due to aerodynamic bias being a bit wrong, which can be fixed really quickly.
I can tell you that we are racing front wing 30 and rear wing 15, so there should be already some balance. As I really need to get used to this track layout there, really. Weird stuff.
We don't really race that layout nowadays too much.
I've never raced it anywhere, really. I know that it does exist, but I never raced it anywhere whatsoever.
Last time I raced it, rFactor 1 time.
Yeah. And it's not even...
ago.
Yeah, and it's not even the layout. Whoops. I raced as well.
Every other sim uses the new layout. The arena layout. So-called.
Yeah, the latest GT track version. I'm sorry, Eric, but my French is not as good as my English. In fact, it's quite inexistable. So I'm really sorry. I would love to answer on that question, but I can't really. I just get like what's the year of the car, and I have no clue about it, but I would say it's around 2014 or 15, so not too old. I mean, the Formula Renault 2.0 hasn't changed that much the past years. But anyway, something that the car also has is oversteer out of slow corners to me.
That's well, really important thing is that what could be causing that is really variable. It can be due to imbalances in tire pressures that might be too high, and that could provide you with some instability out of slow corners. It could be spring rate, it could be anti-roll bar, lack of toe at the rear. That can be fixed in so many ways, and we will try to approach it from different places and see which one works the best and explain why. It might be the best solution for the issue that we are having right now.
So yeah, that's what we're gonna do, and I think I will pull in another clean lap before then heading towards setup menu. And yep, Jody, I'm racing a G29 here on my end. Bought that on 2017's Black Friday in November, as I still should be able to find a second around club, as this first king feels like being full throttle really. There you go, and then you have to brake in what's known as the final corner of the modern racetrack, and then I think I'm done with getting known to the track, since I also fiddled out that it's probably not the worst way to have a little break here and brake better for that turn as well, and probably turn early in here. And here's a little snap oversteer as soon as you hit the accelerator again. Oh, no, off track, that's good. Well, that's a valid lap time there. And we put it in around a 1:37.9. And I think from doing all sectors purple, we now can start with our actual setup guiding. Looking at the first page, tire pressures, aerodynamics, and I think ride height really in the bottom. That's
Michi, first things first. Right now you are having around 45% front downforce bias, which is quite high. I think some of your issues with oversteer could be fixed with having your aerodynamic bias more towards front end. So maybe we should first try bringing that a bit closer to the rear, the aerodynamic bias, and see how's that. Because right now I can tell you already that this doesn't seem to be right. And you change the downforce with the values above, not this what you are changing right now.
okay. So to what percentage we're aiming?
Towards 41%. I think that's a bit more like it.
More less downforce in general, or more high downforce?
That's all on you. It depends if you feel like you are having enough downforce in high speed corners. If you feel that you have enough, you can go a bit lower on front wing. But if you want to have a bit more downforce in high speed corners, you can try going a bit higher with rear downforce.
So how about that?
Looks okay. Let's try it out and see if this does the job.
Before that, George Wiseman told me on the chat to change seating position, exit the car, select cockpit in the replay camera, and then press Control and F12, and then you can move within a certain range. So, onboard camera, where are you? Why can't I see? Oh, there you go. Cockpit view, control, and F12. Ah, there you go. I can move myself a bit backwards, and I can move myself upwards. Oh, that's great stuff. And some little tilt would be nice as well. I think that was a tilt. I was adjusting there. Ah, that's great. So now I just need to set the mirrors. Anyone got an idea how to set the mirrors?
It's not like we need them right now.
Nah, not yet, but I might need them later. Although
That's right.
I might be able to simply make use of the virtual mirror in the... Ah, they are off anyway. Ah, that looks a lot better. That's a lot more to my liking now. You know, I was finding myself like going in this position in order to see over the nose. You will see in the stream in a second. But obviously, because it was a screen, I couldn't see anything else. I'm not sure whether it's cold tires.
It's probably cold tires because this car, from my knowledge, which we both know, I haven't driven this car, but I've helped some people with this car, like I do right now with you, and I have some general impression what this car likes and what it doesn't like. So I'm gonna tell you that it really might be the tires not being right there yet. So give it one more lap and you will see if you like the change or not, because we really should stick to 41, 42 is basically almost max that you should go with, because everything about that is for most of the people that I worked with was a bit too much.
I see.
So I'm just working with a general rule of thumb right now.
Oh, finally I can see so much more of the track, and that enables me to go so much more quicker. Well, not right now, since...
For the next stream I will try and make you a periscope, just for you.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I might need.
When I was a kid I even made one and thought it was working.
So we're probably not beating our personal best lap in that.
No, but that's not our aim right now. Our aim is basically to improve the handling of the car and explaining to people why this or that change should improve the general handling of the car, which in the end should end up with anyone feeling a bit more comfortable with the car and therefore more comfortable with pushing the car, which ends up with quicker lap times and more consistent lap. Because being fast on a one lap means nothing in a race. You need to be confident with the car so that it doesn't make any silly stuff to surprise you, and you can basically drive lap by lap without any issues. But yeah, it already seems that you might need a bit more downforce, overall downforce, maybe not front downforce, but maybe more overall downforce should help you.
Yeah, I think the car is not too vulnerable in high speed, or yeah, in top speed, despite having low or high wings. I'm not too sure though whether this is nonsense what I'd speak. Yeah, but to me it feels like a bit more downforce, especially at the front, or front end grip would be a bit better.
That could be also fixed by some changes to suspension. We can always try that. But yeah, if you want some front downforce, we can go to 42%. If you are comfortable with it, then it's okay. We don't. That's a really important thing that I have to mention right now for the people that are listening to us. There is nothing like one way to skin a cat. There's the same. There are more ways to skin a cat. It's totally true with sim racing as well. With setup that you make everything that you do that makes you faster. That makes you faster. Is a correct way. There is nothing wrong with doing this or that when you see it doesn't work for other people, but it might work for you. And if it works for you, go for it. And that's really important because some people, I've seen some people get intimidated by some changes, some values that they might think are totally out of the place, totally out of the box. And they revert to other values which they felt might be more correct, but they are slower with these so-called correct values. Everything that makes you faster is the correct way. That's really important, and everyone should remember that. What we are doing right now is just telling you what to do if you are having this or that problem, not what makes a car fast for everyone, just what makes the car fast for Michi and what should work for others if they are having similar taste in car handling.
I always felt that this Renault has no power whatsoever, and I was proved wrong.
Well.
So James, thanks for your question and thanks for asking. I'm feeling a bit better. Not entirely good yet, but we're getting there. So I'm just gonna have to be a little patient with myself. I'm gonna be fine in 3 or 4 days. As we got around some 40 minutes to go to improve that setup. So I'm sure you saw what I did, Robert. So I increased the front wing by 2.
Yes, I saw that, and if you are comfortable with this, roll with it. Like I said, it's not like you shouldn't go above certain values. Like I said, it's all about you being comfortable with something. If you are comfortable with even 44, that's okay.
And yeah,
that's down to you being fine with how the car feels after this or that change.
And here probably it comes into play where you should know about my general preference on cars. And this is a bit of philosophy. Some guys might want to have it understeery and be the best with that. I'm surely not, so I definitely want to have it a bit more oversteery. And this has different reasons. Mainly here it's because I do think that an oversteery car can be driven with a lot more skill. Because if you master the oversteer, your car's definitely quicker because it rotates faster around the corners, as long as it does not destroy the tires, obviously. Whereas an understeery car, I mean, I do not really know too much about what to do when your car is understeery. So yeah, I'm much more fine, or I can work better with oversteer going on.
basically understeer is better for people that are not as experienced with driving high-speed cars, which require lots of even skill to navigate through corners when they are not really planted. So having a bit of understeer always helps with keeping the car stable. Of course, it will not be as fast through the corner, but it will at least keep you on the black stand on this occasion on the brake stop.
And if you guys got any questions to me or to Robert, especially when me is just literally driving around and thinking about car balance, and you got some serious questions to him about a setting on the car which has changed, or want to have some more knowledge on a certain thing, feel free to ask, and I'm sure Robert or me will respond to that as we can, as good as we can.
Exactly.
As I was a little bit off track in Cobb's Corner, nevertheless.
But already the car seemed to be a bit better hooked around that corner, so...
Yeah, it's much more to my liking, I have to say.
Can you remember what the tire pressures are right now?
There you go. That were the cold tire pressures. The warm tire pressures might be a little bit up, so we need to recheck them as soon as we finish that run here.
And those on the bottom right corner are the hot or cold tire pressures? Those are cold, right?
Those are cold.
Okay. That's actually quite high for cold pressure.
Yeah. So here are the high ones. They are like 10 kPa higher, but I think they reach full temperature or full pressure just after 3 or 4 laps. It takes quite some time, I think, if I remember.
Well, from what I know, usually the best optimal pressure range for this car is around 160 for hot pressure. So seeing these pressures for cold range is quite surprising for me, and maybe we should try going a bit lower with them, so they end up at around 160 when they are hot. This change, for the people that are listening to us, this change, what it should do is provide a bit better feeling of the car, especially in slow corners, because of the more so-called give that the tire will have, therefore providing more grip, mechanical grip, traction, and so on. It will be a bit sluggish, a bit more sluggish in fast corners until it builds up the pressure. But before that, it should actually be more drivable, especially through slow corners, which Michi complained about being a bit twitchy.
Yeah, and about the sluggishness you just said, Untitled Chapter was as unsmooth as it never has been before. But I'm really looking forward to get in some temperature into the tire within the next few corners and laps, and then I'm gonna be fine there again.
It should. So like Michi said, if you have any questions for me, I will try to answer your question the best I can. That slide was not strange.
Too much brake bias in the rear.
Oh, that's right, exactly.
Yeah, sometimes I can encounter problems myself. which is something I think you really should have when being a good sim racer. I mean, having an engineer and someone that helps you, like Robert is helping me right now, that's actually golden. But at some point you should try to set up your own... Ooh. Don't talk and drive. You should try to set up your own knowledge as well.
Yeah, that's really important if someone is interested in having a relationship with someone else, trying to figure out a car, working on a car, setup. It's always best solution when both ends actually try to learn new things, because as you go, you basically improve your communication. You explain the problem a bit better to your colleague, and therefore speed up the issue fixing problem. So basically it's down to understanding each other a bit better and developing the knowledge on both ends, on your end and your partner, and it always helps with the end result.
So setup changes to me feel really good. Overall grip has increased to me. Not sure whether this is due to tire pressures, but I feel like being able to go around some corners much faster than before. Despite for Cobb's Corner now things have changed completely. But here in Maggots and Chapel and stuff, there was surely an improvement being felt by me, as I now go quicker on Hanger Straight. I still could make more use of the refs.
That's great to hear. I already think that there is a good way to improve this car even more. This on this occasion on mechanical side, because I think aerodynamically this car is in a good shape.
I agree.
What could be done is just adjusting one click up, one click down on both ends, because once you are happy with a car balance in high speed when the aerodynamic load is the highest, you should really keep in mind that if you don't know to, if you don't want to destroy that balance that you are having, it's really good to go one higher or one lower on both ends, and don't go on, don't change only one end on the car, because that can totally break your aerodynamic balance.
Nah.
Also, as we were on the subject of brake bias, as we saw, it had tremendous influence on how the car reacted to Michi's inputs. What's really important is that once you stomp on a brake and release it, especially in fast corner, if you have it a bit too backwards, so if it is, for example, 52%, the end result could be two things. Either you are locking already on the entry of into the corner as you brake the rear wheels and you spin, or you release the brakes in the final phase of turning, and it can end up with shifting the weight a bit too much forwards, and it can end up with you having an unstable front end. That was going on to Michi in Woodcote, for example. Before Woodcote, what's Lafayette before Woodcote, I believe. That's what was happening to Michi with that brake bias that he was having.
Oh, there you go. Some more knowledge has been spread. As we're trying to carry on that thing, and I'm really sorry, guys, but I think the stream, it says connected, but the chat is not working at all to me, so I get my...
I haven't seen it being updated at all for a while, so maybe that's...
Yeah, I've just restarted it, but it didn't really work. So what we're gonna do is it's not too much. See,
We are really sorry if
there you go.
had some questions for us and we didn't see it because of
Yeah,
a technical issue.
I fully
But
agree.
Once we are back online with chat, please just repeat the question and maybe we could answer it just now.
So I think now stuff is working. So what do we want to change on the set? What did you say to increase and what to decrease?
Let me see what you have on chassis.
Yeah, so that's just the front part. For the rear part, I need to scroll down a bit.
Okay. Oh, you have basically no toe on the front. That's not correct.
So?
Basically, if, having no toe means that your wheels are pointing basically straight. They are not tilted in any way whatsoever. For most of the most of the cars usually tend to have set a toe out on the front. What it does, once you start turning your wheel into the corner, the front end is more eager to go into the corner. It basically jumps into a corner more eagerly, and it's because the wheels are tilted outside. They are both pointing outside. If you can imagine a car from above, you can and imagine both tires straight up. Once they are both pointing outside, it's called toe out, and that's what you should be aiming for if you want a bit more responsive front end on initial turning. So have maybe try 2 clicks on a toe in on a negative, because I believe in iRacing negative toe in means toe out, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that seems to be the case for me as well. So that's about it.
Try that.
Okay.
It should already provide you quite a bit more responsive front end, which, from what I've seen, was a bit painful to see you turning a wheel and the car having a bit of delay or being a bit hesitant towards how it reacts to turning a wheel.
So we're going to test this out as yeah, thank you very much, guys, for your patience here. So I've came up with a backup chat. For some reason those chat systems keep failing from one moment on another.
Which is strange, because on all of your previous streams
yeah,
it's really reliable.
It really worked during that stream as well, but just at some point I felt like we were a bit off there, and suddenly I saw messages not being displayed at all.
So Michi, how does it feel?
Let me do a lap when tires are warm.
Sure.
Around.
Even on cold tires, you should already feel the difference. Of course, it won't be as big as when the tires are ready to go, ready to attack when they are hot. already on your outlap, the difference should be quite big.
It felt a lot better around Mackett's Chapel on Beckett's there. Like a bit more pointing to where I wanted to go.
Exactly, that's what Toe is doing right now.
So there you go, purple
and the
S1.
rule of thumb is usually want to have toe out on front end and toe in on rear end. Why toe in or rear end? Basically, it's on most cars other than front wheel cars, because those are a bit a different story. But rear driven cars, rear wheel driven cars are, as you know, when the torque is applied to a tire, if it's pointing straight, it has best traction when you're trying to go straight. Basically, in dragster condition, that's very desirable. But once you drive a racing car which goes around corners, having a bit toe in gives you more stability once you apply some power to the car. And why? Because when both tires are pointing towards inwards, let's call it like this, basically when the both ends wants to go towards inside, it provides extra stability for the car, which if the car is really powerful, it provides really tremendous amount of stability when applying throttle.
That was even some very useful information for myself, because sometimes this toe in and toe out gets me really weird. As George Weisman has filed a question, so do you have a starting point at which you usually tackle first, so aero, suspension, tire pressure, etc., as everything has an impact on the other things there, or does this change from time to time? So I think that's probably a question Robert knows to answer best where to start.
Yeah. Well, what you want to do is to have as stable platform with as little variables as you can have, because once you have too many things that change all over the place, you might have no idea what this or that change that you just made did for you. So basically, you should aim towards having your aerodynamic platform set almost as the first thing, and then your pressures for tires, because there are scenes which are really tire pressure sensitive, which even having 5-10 kPa difference from front to rear is already really noticeable in handling. Also in real life, you can really feel some differences in tire pressure, so having that stable and ready to go for each go is really essential. So for me, the first two things that you should take care of is your aerodynamics and your tire pressures. Once they are both in a sweet spot, or at least in a sweet spot at the moment, which you think that works the best for you, because you should really remember that each tire has different optimal tire pressures, so you need to figure out which tire pressure works the best for this car or that car. Of course, there are proposed best tire pressures from each tire manufacturer, but sometimes those optimal pressures which are proposed are not usually the best ones. Sometimes the best way to figure out which are the best is just from testing. You need to work some more to figure out which one works the best, for you, and once you do, just try to stick with it with some variances from track to track. Of course, if the car stays the same, of course. But then, once you have both of these settled and you think that you are somewhat happy with it, then you should really start with changing your other stuff like suspension, toe, and other stuff.
I could need the front end.
Because what you don't want is having changes made to your chassis side, and after a while figuring out that what was making your car a bit unstable was your tire pressure changing all over the place with each stint. So what you really need to pay attention is to try and have as stable conditions on other ends as you can, as much as you can, because once you have those in the right place, that's when you know that each change that you do to a car on the chassis side is actually doing what you are asking it to do.
Right, so I could need a little bit better front end still, like especially in high-speed corners. I'm like lacking a bit.
On entry or mid-corner?
Mid-corner to exit.
Okay, mid-corner to exit. That's actually more of a damper side. Damper side, why? Because once you are in a corner, the whole car is under extraordinary amount of load, which is handled by springs, and springs with dampers. What dampers do, as many of you might know, but some of you might not know, so I will try to keep it short for those who don't know. Dampers or
wait.
Cool.
Tell me what to set on the dampers first, and then explain while driving.
Okay, let's see what's here. Okay, you said that you have some problems with understeer, and you want some more front end grip in mid corner.
Mid corner and exit, yeah.
Okay, that's what. Rebound. The rebound is exactly what we want to see to be changed, because I think that might provide some better handling for you in mid corner. Show me what is the range of rebound on a front.
So from 0 to -2.
And in iRacing, the more you go towards minus, it's stiffer, or because I've got confused with iRacing's approach to.
More rebound stiffness is tighter on the braking and turn in, but it does not say about values, I think.
Oh, so basically more towards 0 is stiffer rebound in iRacing, right?
Probably. I mean, if it's stiffness and you have minus turns, then you make it softer. That would be my approach.
Okay. Then let's go a bit more towards 0. Towards minus, sorry. So
minus.
Try 2 clicks on the left.
Okay.
Towards the left.
Okay. Anything else?
Just try this at the moment. Let's not get overwhelmed with too many changes at once. And that's really important advice for you people. You don't really want to make too many changes at once, because once you go on track and see a car being so much better or so much worse, you basically have no idea which change did that, which change made the car so much better or so much worse. So basically you want to keep it as simple as possible. One change at a time, usually minor, but there is one occasion when you are allowed to try extreme changes, and that's when you are trying out after some testing, when you are trying to get used to a car. But once you get used to a car, it's a good idea to go for extremes, so 5 clicks on each setting, upwards and or downwards, just to see what it does. Because with minor changes you might not really feel what the change does for you, and with more extreme changes you actually can feel the difference, and you can actually determine if that change is good for you, if that's what you've been looking for, and if it's too much of a change but in the right direction, you can just go back 2 clicks and still be in the right direction, but that's not as extreme. That's basically the right approach when you are trying to set up a car in most efficient way. Cops looked okay.
Oh yeah, setup is very not approached, improved. The front end literally, yeah, the front end literally went better through those high-speed corners, especially on the exit when I was trying to carry the speed. Yeah. Just should not over-exaggerate it.
Oh, thanks, Nutella bra. You're too kind.
Still looking for braking towards the old sector 3. Still looking for a way to do it good. I do have some strange mid corner oversteer in that slow corner area. As you might have seen, penultimate corner. As soon as I hit the throttle there.
Oh, that could be coming from different problems, but my first idea what could be is either anti-roll bar being too stiff on a rear, because that's another advice that I should give you. It's really sometimes you don't have to think of a problem as a one-end problem, because if you're having a problem on a rear end, sometimes the solution for that problem is not on the rear end but on the front end. You just need to figure out which part of the car might be causing this, and there is no other way to know other than experience, because once you have experience you basically know which end of the car could provide you a better support for the issue that you are having. For example, this issue that Michi had with this spinning could be caused by something on the rear, but could be also caused by something on the front, which is really sometimes really difficult to find out, but with some proper experience you can easily find the culprit and fix it. On this way around, I think we should try either increasing toe in, but also what I would like to do is going a bit lower on anti-roll bar. Let's say 1 click, and if it still
in
has
the back
some problem, yeah, on the back, in the back, and once it's a bit better but still not enough, I think going a bit softer on spring rate should provide you more compliance on the rear end. Let's call it like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good news, Michi. Judging from the people that I'm trying to read right now, people seem to like the format we are having right now, which is really good news, which it's a new thing for us. I've been working with many people before, but it was a private session. This is a new thing for me, being with audience, with people who are listening to us. So I really hope I'm gonna improve the way I'm giving you the information that I have, because I know that sometimes this is the most difficult part, when you know that you have to explain something, but you have to do it in such a way, in such a fashion which is as clear as possible.
So yeah, that's very good news on my end as well, since as Robert said, it's the first time we planned live for doing some stuff. In all the other shows I just got him on spontaneously, and we were working our way through. This time we had a major target for today, and it's good to see you guys like it, and yeah, let's see.
But the good news is, usually when we work, either it's Michi or someone else, I usually ended up with a car being a lot faster at the end of the session. So at least I know that with a correct approach we usually succeed, which is a really good information.
Yeah, and also I can see people talking about having some sort of oh man, I'm just lacking a little bit more front end again now on the high speed corners.
Yeah, that's actually
due
because
to
of
yeah.
the change,
Yeah.
But it's a trade-off. Basically, there is no way to have a cake and eat a cake. You just can't have both. You really need to make up your mind if you want to have a really good car in high-speed corners, in a quick change of directions, or you want really super car on traction out of slow corners, because you can't really have both, which is I know it's really painful and annoying, but that's the world we are living in. We can't have everything perfect, so it's down to figuring out which is better for you, which is faster, basically.
And I think that's the stiffer rear end.
You changed to stiffer, okay.
Yeah, I changed back to the stiffers.
Okay, before that you went how much softer on
just one click. Just one click.
So you went back on the change?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we will have to find another solution for your problem, because like I said at the beginning, there are many ways to skin a cat, and if Michi is still having some issues in slow corners with traction, then we can fix it with another change that can fix it without really damaging his high-speed performance.
As I'm quickly trying to fix further sound for you guys, so I hope that's gonna be even better for you now, since otherwise I need to look for a solution on how to do stuff even differently. I got a final idea, but I do think
try keeping my microphone a bit closer to my mouth, but that's not really a good idea, because people might hear my breathing, or I think that's not a good idea. That would be disgusting.
I think that should have done the job now. So coming back towards the topic of having a private community, a private channel, actually there is something, and I saw it being mentioned in the chat already. So Sean has set up a Patreon webpage, which you can find in the description. There is the backlink to the Patreon, And this Patreon provide you guys with some further special incentives, with more content, with an Discord chat that's only there for the pit crew. So very exclusive talking. You can contact Sean Cole there mainly. You can contact me as well. So both of us are going to be around there. And yeah, subscribe to the Patreon webpage of the Simpit and become a real asset to the show, since people on the Patreon are also obliged and asked to even improve the series and even improve the show. As I would like to even further improve my car right now. So as I said, the Patreon guys also have the possibility to push the show into a certain direction. So you guys are really asked, and I can only encourage you guys to join the group, join the community, join the Patreon of the Simpit, and make this show an even better one. As I'm really interested in what we're going to do next here, since it's just 10 minutes to the race session. I would save this car here as version number 8 for Silverstone, and then quit this circuit here and subscribe to the main race, so we actually get on the track we want, because that race session is going to go into qualifying in about 10 minutes. No, I want to race now, so there you go. Join practice. So Robert, you might still make yourself some ideas about what we still can change to the set, because now, despite going backwards with stuff.
Yeah, I noticed that you went back on anti-roll bar, which is totally fine, because we are trying to figure out which is the best way to extract more speed from the car without damaging anything on the car. At least not damaging it too badly.
Yeah, so what would be your next expectations?
Okay, guys, if you have any questions whatsoever, just ask away. I'm here to answer them the best I can. Of course, if I'm not able to answer it with 100%, if I'm not really sure if what I'm saying is totally correct, then I'm gonna be open about this, because there is no point in telling you stuff which is not entirely correct.
David, that was a nice approach, but actually it was wrong. So, yep, there you go. That's our current setup.
Okay, let's go to chassis.
Yeah, there we are.
Okay. I really wish we had more time, because I would like to sink my teeth into cambers and other stuff.
How about changing the diff?
Oh, diff. That's really good thing on a car if you want to have some more rotation in a car or less rotation. It depends which is more desirable. If you are having, for example, some understeer on throttle, the best way to get rid of it is having less locking on the power side, on drive, which it's called drive in iRacing, right?
I think so, and I'm gonna change that the other way around, because basically I was having some hard times sometimes when braking into a high-speed corner. So
yeah,
that's why I changed it to the other side, because that now means to me I can actually go a little bit quicker, have a little bit more rotation when being on throttle, and I hope to have a little bit more stability when it comes down towards braking.
That's exactly more or less what's going to happen with that change.
Is there a possibility to save the setting of the camera? Because that's literally a little bit of a pain now to redial it in.
Alex, how soft do you want to go with suspension dampers? Basically, you want to be as soft as you can be without sacrificing anything else. Why? Because the softest is usually providing the best grip. That's how it is. Of course, if everything the softest would be the fastest, everyone would be racing with softest springs, softest dampers and everything, and it would be fantastic, but it doesn't work like that. What we are looking for is the compromise of finding the softest solution which still works in places where you are required to have a bit stiffer suspension. For example, in Formula cars, which have considerably higher downforce than touring cars, GT cars, what they are trying to do with springs is basically keeping the car out of the ground. Basically are using the springs to keep the car out of touching the ground. So you go as low with the springs as you can without you bottoming out too much. If you bottom out too much, you can basically raise your springs to keep the car out of touching the road. If you do this without going too high, that's exactly what you should be aiming for. With dampers, it's a bit different story because dampers are basically connected to springs, so each value is affecting the other. With dampers, there are two sides to it, which is compression or bump, and there is decompression or rebound. When you are trying to set up a car which, for example, if on a track like Silverstone, which is somewhat high but with some low speed corners, you want to have really soft front end, so the car actually digs into a corner and hooks around the corner. Because if you have too stiff, basically the front end just slides around the corner with front end and doesn't provide you any support on the front end, and therefore you get unders. So it's really difficult to say when soft is soft enough. It's really down to you testing it and finding out yourself, because there is nothing, there is no such thing like perfect setup for each track. Once you make one setup, it works everywhere. It doesn't work like that. You really need to find a sweet spot for each track. That's why setting up a car is such a challenge, and I really love challenge, and that's what really got me into doing such stuff around 10 years ago. I started basically tweaking things, then reading about such things, trying to meet people with great experience, great knowledge on such things, and just loading them with answers and trying to remember as many answers as I could. And over the years I developed some understanding on the topic after meeting with many real life drivers, real life engineers. You basically pick up on many things, many solutions. Basically the end result is always trying to get experience. Experience is basically the one biggest thing that you should be aiming for when you try to learn how to set up a car. David, that's really, really nice. Thanks.
I just read the same and had to grin. It's like listening to a podcast.
I'm just really sorry, guys, because when I'm speaking English, my voice kinda changes, and I know when I speak Polish, it's usually so much better for the ears, so maybe not Bob Ross kind of, let's say, honey to your ears, but yeah.
And I think for now we keep just in the condition the car is currently, since there's some 6 minutes to go, I think. No, not
Sure.
no 2
But
minutes.
If you are feeling that there is something critical that needs to be changed, then go for it. Oh, that's actually strange. That's a little slide.
Yeah, maybe it was because of wrong pedal inputs. I don't know.
Were you still on the brakes when that little slide happened, or was it already on throttle? Because I wasn't really paying attention on your inputs.
I was not even paying attention on that as well, because I was not pushing at all. So
Okay, that looked like a bit cold tires actually, but it could also be something on chassis side, because that slide was actually quite unusual. Okay, Xavier, how to approach first spring settings and what is the deal with the rFactor 2 F1 2017 mod having only third spring and no corners? Well, it all depends on the car. Some cars have first springs and some don't. It's really down to on a car. Sometimes it's built for one type of racing, and which doesn't really require you to have third springs, and some do. But with the mod 2017 F1 mod for rFactor 2, I'm not really sure which mod are you referring to. Are you referring to the ESF mod, perhaps?
oh dear. So with that lap time, it's P18. Well, I was running race fuel though, really. Like I have to say, and that means
don't worry about it. We all know that you don't have much race time with this car, and having some more experience with a car can mean much more than even the best setup. So don't really worry about this. It's all about sharing some hints with the others.
So I'm gonna be particularly interested now.
David, we are talking both springs and shock absorbers, because they are all connected. We can't really talk about springs without talking about shock absorbers or dampers, without mentioning the other. It's basically two connected ends of the same stick. Oh, FSR mod. Right. This question should be more towards Michi, because Michi was the one who was racing this car. I haven't really done much work on this car, but I can already tell you that I really tried to understand that car, but it was one of the most difficult cars to understand in my entire life. Mostly because every time I did one change, the car did the other, which was really confusing me, because it doesn't happen at all with other cars. So I sort of gave up after a while, because it was too annoying for me. I like challenge, but I like challenge which is giving me some results. if you know what I mean. Once you spend many weeks and you don't see results as you were expecting them, that's when you should stop, because you are just frustrating yourself, and there's no point for that.
It's difficult with that car in particular, because I only do know about third springs that they are giving you some advantage, or they are just regulating the shift of weight transfer. So the stiffer the springs is, the more reluctant the weight is to move when acceleration and braking kicks in. That's what I heard about it, or what I know about it. So the stiffer you set that stuff, the less rotation up and down you got in the suspension when accelerating or braking. So if you have a stiff front end on the third spring, you can hit the brakes hard, because the sudden movement of the weight pushes doesn't push the front so much to the ground that you start to grind and may lose front end grip. However, if you soften that thing, the car is able to be a lot more stable when braking in the front. But those springs are really a very difficult thing, and especially on FSR cars, as Robert already said, sometimes you set something in the spring settings and you think that's not gonna work at all, and you go out suddenly and go purple, and it was like, okay, balance is actually fine. Sometimes
exactly. Sometimes it's a really good advice. Sometimes when you try many things and something works, but on the paper it shouldn't, just roll with it. Sometimes it's better not to ask too many questions, because you may end up going in circles. Just sometimes accept what's going on, because even, and I'm gonna be really honest with you, many engineers, real life engineers that are working in really high series over the world told me the same. Sometimes you think that something shouldn't work and you do it because it just works. On the paper it shouldn't, but it works, and you just roll with it. It's just like this, and it's not really a strange thing for professional engineer to admit that something that shouldn't work on a paper, that logically shouldn't, but it works, but you just roll with it.
So yeah, Xavier, those springs are actually really working like some kind of ARB, just not sideways, but more like on a horizontal line. Yeah.
Yeah, basically third springs are mostly at work when the forces are being applied on both ends. So basically, like Michi said, when you are braking, you are basically applying forces equally on both ends. Whereas corner springs, like the name suggests, are affecting corner. So when different forces are applying each corner independently. Yeah, that's really true. That's really true, David. That's actually how it works. Not all cars have those, but those who have are actually done in such a way to have those forces separated, and they. Oh! That slide though. Slide.
No slide spin. Yeah, weird.
Well, spin is.
Okay, it's more slide.
Slide.
Yeah. Well, that keeps the pressure on, since that was first attempt on the qualifying, and I hope not to start very dead last. But this is weird. I mean, I've never had that behavior of the car in the testing before, and this is a problem about iRacing at some point. Like, yes, rFactor 2 does not feature on-track temperature and has not too much of physical impact there, but you know, we set up a car now in a practice session and I felt like literally fine, and now here I'm on the server a different temperature. I have no front end grip. I lost the rear at the point where I never lost it before. Stuff like that. And suddenly you're finding yourself in a very different situation. And yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to focus a bit more on spectating your driving and see what the car does. Oh, okay, that's light. Okay.
So literally the final lap
it was already on power, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to change that for the race, or?
If we can, yes. Oh, I don't know.
Okay,
let's see after the lap done.
Okay.
Just need to make sure to get in a decent lap now.
Yeah, David, that's totally correct. Yeah, that's true, BC Carl 88, if that's how I should pronounce your nickname.
But the good thing is in real life you got more than 2 minutes to just adjust on it.
Yeah, exactly. Basically what you do with changes in temperatures in general, weather in real life, you basically try to adjust yourself for the new conditions and then actually seek for maybe some changes to the setup, because changing setup every time, even slightest change to a weather is actually happening, is like chasing your own tail. It never ends well. It's just gonna make you more frustrated and annoyed. It's not the correct way. It's the first thing that you should do is trying to adapt to the new conditions, and then once you adapt and still think that the car should be doing this or that a bit more or less, that's when you should actually try and apply some changes to the setup. And right now, that really lazy slide that you had at Laffy, we can try changing one or two things just before the race.
And if the only problem I did have now was a little snappiness off throttle. That was everything.
Off throttle or on throttle?
Off throttle. On throttle I can manage that, but off throttle was a bit weird, and we have already the higher coast setting.
Okay, then let's go with preload. Just increase preload right now. How big of a jump is one click? Show me.
7 Newton per meter.
Let's try 2 clicks.
Okay. If that is going to work, we're gonna see in the race which is coming up now. So qualifying is done and we start in 9th position out of 16. Quickly look out for some familiar names. So far I do not see some kind. But I can tell you about the little fun fact. So watch my surname. This is,
yeah, Xavier.
This is
yeah, tire
H-O-Y.
pressures are really good way to change your balance, because sometimes when you are having some issues with car being snappy all of a sudden at the rear end, sometimes just checking what are the pressures like on the car.
Pressures look okay though.
Yeah, they looked okay. They weren't really that much different from the testing session, so it's not really the pressures right now, I think. It was just the problem of previous session was a bit colder, I think, was it?
Probably, yeah.
When the general rule of thumb is when temperatures are lower, as long as you can get back to proper optimal pressures, is always faster track than a hot track.
Yeah.
Always.
So we're looking. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you there, but I'm currently looking for the lights to come on in a 30 seconds, probably.
Sure.
There you go. Lights are here. Holy moly, that was freaking close.
Now I see it. That was actually cool. Not for them, of course. Thanks to beat them. We are going to hell, Michi. For them.
Yeah. So around the outside we went there. Now it's time to get away, get out of the draft. Currently
Get
sitting
in there, champ.
Yeah. Currently sitting there in 6th position. But I'm having some hard time on understeer, really.
Well, you wanted some more stability, so I gave it to you.
Yeah,
So,
that's pretty much alright. It's more aerodynamical, I think. But it's the first race anyway, and I have no clue on what kind of split I'm racing in. Currently we did a good job, because with a bad set I would definitely beat that last, like I was yesterday in the Mazda MX-5 Advanced. Because I entered that series with having some sort of stock setup, and obviously that did not work at all. But I'm struggling here a lot.
With enough time we could make a golden setup. We are time restricted, unfortunately.
Now we're getting there. Some clever defending required, but and obviously no spins. Nah. That's about it with clever defending.
Yeah, that's right, David. That's exactly what I've been saying all the time. It's really important to have a good relationship between driver and engineer, because if this relationship comes with great understanding of what each other needs or wants to hear or likes to have, is really helpful, and it shortens the whole way of working on a car, really.
Why was
as I
that
can
black?
see-
Why was that black car going so slow on the inside? Really?
I'm more interested why everyone is so fast on the straights. Basically, there are two solutions for that. They are either having lower wings but really good brake, because once you have really brake set to the best possible way, that's when you gain basically almost free downforce.
More
It's
important
almost
question
driveless.
to me is why they are able to go faster through slow corners.
It's down to us dialing out some things. It's really down to how much time we can spend on the setup. As you can see, it's not there is no quick way to set up a car. It's always a chore. There is no way around it. You can really luck into a golden setup early on. You totally can, but that rarely happens. Making a setup is a few hours of work, sometimes days, weeks. For example, when I work on my setups, I usually even end up adjusting them for weeks or even months, because I sometimes try to find this little fraction of even a tenth in a car.
You also have to bear in mind that people often racing here got some pre-fixed setups sitting in their folders on their PC. But you need to bear in mind as well
Exactly.
for iRacing.
That, and also many people that race Formula 2.0 are usually the regulars, which usually race this car almost day and night. So Michi is already having a disadvantage by being inexperienced one in this race.
Happily though, we do have 0 incidents so far.
Yep.
But I would love to have a little bit more speed. Like pace-wise.
Xavier, yeah, that might be the issue, but it's not as simple. Because if it was this simple, it would be so much easier for me to help other people with their setup, because having just one solution for each problem would be really good for me.
People go extremely wide there on that exit. Is that actually allowed? I don't want to test it because I don't want to sacrifice my 0 incident race here, which I really need for rebuilding the license loss I suffered from the other races. So with 10 laps to go, that's 1/3 of the race being done. Currently running in P8, so we gained 1 place compared to qualifying. And just for the sake of iRating and everything, I hope to be running the top split currently. So I'm really eager to find out about that after the race, as I cannot really stay in touch with the guy in front there. And maybe the guy currently running in 6th position is a bit bit slower than I am. That could be my only hope to gain on another place here.
I'm just trying to be quiet here, not to really distract you.
Oh, that's alright.
I'm just gonna speak whenever someone asks a question, because you still can. It's not like you can only ask questions when Michi is not driving.
I'm alright with that though. I would not like to have it in an official race where there is serious stuff going on like in FSR. We have talking to a minimum only. But here's pretty much alright. As I'm starting to get in a good comfort zone.
Yeah, your lap times are getting better and better, and we are actually closing in on the guys in front. Not by much, but
by some margin. I can see,
exactly.
Yeah, I can see people making mistakes ahead, which is good. So I definitely think that Lubomir Moric is running a very good set and running the Formula Renault for quite some time. But I can see the guy ahead making some little mistakes, being off apexes and stuff. So if we get into the draft, we can do something there.
Exactly.
Getting a pain in the left hand, probably for being a little bit too strong on the downshift pedal or something. I definitely believe we are running higher wings than the other guys because I'm catching massively.
Yes, that's really high possibility for that. Early on, people were overtaking you left and right, literally.
Yeah. Well, when that happened, I literally had a bad exit as well, but other than that, you're completely right on that.
But you wanted more grip in fast corners,
yeah.
So there you go.
I know. It's not the worst thing you can have.
Exactly. Once we have more time, we can dial the suspension a little bit more. Therefore, we can sacrifice some downforce for more speed without losing too much grip, even in fast corners, which is actually the aim for really good setup. And that's actually why some people in this race are able to go so much faster. It's basically dialing in the car a little bit better for the conditions and race, which really requires for you to have a little bit more top speed than in qualifying. Other than some understeer in some corners, car feels okay.
Yeah.
That can be fixed easily.
And there you go. That was weird though.
George, well, yes and no. Like I said, it's all connected. It's not like you change one thing and it doesn't really affect the other. Of course, I would have to go through the other things, but if you are really happy with your mechanical balance, your mechanical setup, having a bit lower downforce on both ends, so you basically keep the aerodynamic bias. That's actually really good scenario, because therefore there is little chance that you would have to go through all the things. Of course you could, and maybe you even should, but it's not as necessary as if it was changing the aerodynamic bias. You gained one place.
Yeah, the guy ahead
hits,
spun off in no.
Oh.
Spun off
I wasn't
mid
paying
corps.
attention.
That guy spun
Oh.
off mid corps. That was really weird. But I take it. Oh, lovely run here through Chapel. That is, I think. So P7 is the
Chapel
maximum.
is the left one.
Oh,
Right
the
one
left
is
one.
still Beckett's.
Well, that was Beckett's. But I would take that run
Yeah,
any
it
day.
was lovely.
Good thing is I'm finally out of the draft of Jakub. I need to really check and test out whether their line there is valid and able to use in iRacing. If that is some kind of Watkins Glen turn 1 scenario, where you literally can go wide without any incident to be noted.
George, about your question, I just remembered one thing. Once you change your downforce, sometimes the first thing that you should actually check is your tire pressure, because when you change aerodynamic load, tire pressure is one of the major things that could be affected by this change, because one, we are changing the load on the car when we are driving on a straight, which also affects pressure, but also in the corners, a car with less downforce usually slides a bit more. It's really small sliding. It's like sometimes even not really noticeable, but it's enough to produce more heat on a tire, which goes into a tire deeply and changes the dynamic pressure of the tire. So sometimes when you change your downforce, pressures should be one of the first things that you should readjust. Usually not by much, but enough for you to actually reconsider your pressures that you had before. That was really good through cops.
Yeah, thank you. I just got it right with the brakes for the first time in that race. lots to learn for me still.
Really nice out of left field.
Thanks.
Really well hooked. I can already see that you are really in a groove, in a rhythm.
Yeah, I found something good now.
And that's... Oh, how much I want to place? Jamal. This is a tricky one because it's really down to what you want to do with your sim racing. If you are really serious into sim racing, having a motec is hugely important and really beneficial. However, if you are just racing for fun, dealing with motec actually requires lots of dedication, lots of time, and if you don't have that time and you just want to race, I'm gonna say don't bother with motec, don't bother. You can easily set up a car well enough, just by feel, just by trial and error, for you to enjoy a race and be competitive. But if you are more into really competitive racing, some league racing or official series, that's when, and you also have time, that's when motec is really beneficial. But also it's really important to realize that dealing with motec actually requires some really major knowledge. If you don't have idea what to do with it, sometimes it's gonna do you do more harm than any good, because you might end up trying to get some values to a certain level, or you might be reading the some values wrong. It's not like everyone is walking encyclopedia on how to read motec files. I had to learn it for a long time. It took me many years to learn it, and I actually even today when I wake up I still feel like a total Numpty Dumpty, really. Every day I learn something new, learn something useful, so it's down to dedication.
Oh no, really? Some stupid misshifting there. That could cost me a thing.
Just cover the inside, and I'm a little behind you, so I don't know if you're already past or...
Went well.
Ian, it's the old one, the pre-2010, I believe. I believe 2010 was the first year of the new layout for Silverstone. I should call myself Robert, everyone's friend. Thanks, Jamal.
Right. So we take checkered flag here in 7th position after some eventful final 2 laps there. There's some little driving error also going on. We park the car and escape. And thank you very much for all your support and being around for that long time here. So we did a like 2-hour show with some extraordinary knowledge just for myself, but we do have more to come. So if you're still eager to find out on setup and racing and stuff like that, there's some further setup guide coming on. So we're gonna be back live, not on this channel though, in a GT3 around Suzuka. And I hope whether I get some server up within 30 minutes, otherwise we're gonna work it the same way we did right now. As Jakub, thank you very much, acknowledges good defending on my end, good racing again, awareness from his side, so he just gave me enough space all the time, which was great. So guys, thank you very much for watching this. And I quickly gonna have a look towards the license.
I would like to say something, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
I would like officially say thank you to both Michi and Sean for having me as a guest. That was really nice for me to be here, to interact with you all and share my some knowledge that I have. It was really fun, and thank you all for having me. So, as we already have the final results up, and we were definitely racing in the top split with a strength of field of 2615 on iRacing. So, perfectly job here on the license. That's back to C 3.41, that's a plus of 17 on the license, which covers up a little bit of damage being done by the other 2 races. And with our iRating we had a surplus of 40, which is nice to me. And what's definitely interesting is that I could keep this guy behind here who has already an iRating of close to 3000, so that's not too bad. And obviously the other guy that was pulling away from us had around 4000 on iRating, and all the other guys who had even more iRating, yeah, definitely well deserved their leading on me and everything. So definitely there was some good stuff. We gathered some good championship points as well. Not really looking towards any kind of serious. So anyway guys, thank you very much for watching, and we will see whether we see each other back on the other side for some GT3 around Suzuka. So my friend in here was Robert, I'm Michi Hoyer, and I see you guys out on track. Bye bye.